Hey, everybody. Welcome to Cincinnati Real Producers podcast, powered by Next Door Photos. I'm Patrick Braddock, owner and publisher of Cincinnati Real Producers.
And I'm Daniel Ziegler, owner of Next Door Photos. Every week, we're getting to know Cincinnati's top realtors.
Our goal is to elevate and inspire the real estate community throughout greater Cincinnati.
All right, well, today we have Evan Johnson of the Johnson Real Estate Group, brokered by Cutler Real Estate. Evan is in his 5th year selling real estate, and his career sales volume is over $51 million. In 2023 alone, his volume was nearly $20 million. In 2022, Evan became the first and so far only agent from Cincinnati to be named on the National Association of Realtors and Realtor Magazine's 30 Under 30. Welcome to the show, Evan Johnson.
Thank you, Daniel.
Appreciate buddy.
Appreciate the intro. Appreciate
That's pretty cool. So 30 under 30.
Yes, 30 under 30. I mean, that's really the biggest feather in my cap, and probably the only feather in my cap outside of Circle of Excellence. I mean, if every other agent has that, I feel like, but haven't been in too long. But that was a huge, obviously,
That's really cool,
huge
yeah.
token for me to get. So
And first from Cincinnati, too.
first from Cincinnati. Always got to drop that. I'm pretty proud of that though, because I know just through the source, through the network now, had some pretty good connections through the NAR, so I know who has tried to get it in the past in Cincinnati, and it's pretty exclusive company in terms of the agents who have tried and not gotten it.
Yeah.
I don't say that as a divisive, maybe competitive thing. I just say that to say it was a really nice validation for me to know, hey, I actually belong in this business and I can last.
Absolutely.
Heck yeah.
So
That's fantastic, man. I've known Evan for, I don't know, what, 2 years, 3 years now?
yeah,
So, with a mutual friend and neighbor, we were talking about this off the recording. You were relatively new, and you're less than 5 years in the business, correct? I believe.
yeah. So I
Right
got it
around
in. God, I don't remember the exact date, but mid 2019.
Yeah.
Mid 2019.
So you're coming up on your 5 year, and I mean the propulsion of success is truly a testament to the work ethic and like we talked about the family ties and everything like that. Like,
Yeah.
You come from a family of real estate, which is a huge benefit. And I don't necessarily would ever say it's a crutch, because anybody who gets into real estate has to have somebody to lean on, and the fact that you can lean on your family. And one of the best real estate agents to do it in the area, Don Johnson, your father with Cutler, is truly remarkable, and I love seeing your success because of that as well. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not saying it's the only reason why,
No.
because you have to grind just as much as anybody
Yeah.
else, but that 30 under 30, man, like that's not Don, dude. That's you, buddy. Like that's pretty impressive stuff.
It was. So that came about pretty weird too. So actually, there's a funny story behind that. My sister had tried to get it, which kind of shocked I got it instead of her, frankly. She's much better in front of the camera and just, front facing than I am. But it was probably 2020. My assistant put the old publication of 30 Under 30 from the previous year on my desk. And as a joke, her and my dad pasted my face over one of the people on that magazine
Nice.
for the 30 Under 30 panel. And I don't know why. Again, this is the competitive spirit in me, I guess. It really lit a fire under me, and it kind of pissed me off. Honestly, I was like, I don't know why, because I didn't try to go for it that year, and I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna go after that. I never even thought. I knew what it was. Never even came into my foresight though of like something I was gonna go after. I also didn't think I was doing a scale of business to even have a shot at it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, what are the
Yeah.
criteria that they're kind of looking for that award?
So it's a bit ambiguous, to be honest.
Okay.
They say it's not about scale and volume, but lo
It's
and
about
behold,
scale and volume.
everybody on the list seems to have a big scale and
Right.
volume. So for a 30 under
Sure.
person, so it's that, but also it's community involvement. What are you doing in the community? It's how are you operating your business? Are you pushing things forward? Is there a clear sense, because it's the National Association that's reviewing you as an agent. Is there a clear sense that, hey, this is a person that's pushing the industry forward and really trying to innovate and doing it a bit different than maybe everybody else, which is a direct correlation to their success.
Right.
So it's kind of all those things in an amalgam. But I think, obviously, because I've had other young agents reach out to me, the scale and volume definitely needs to
Plays
be
a
there.
big
I
part,
think
yeah.
probably paramount within that. So,
Interesting.
yeah,
That's cool.
that was a big one for me, honestly, because I took real estate very serious before getting that. And it had weight to me, but that let me know I had lasting power in the industry.
Yeah.
And that really kind of pushed me forward, where I leaned all the way in 110% after getting that. So,
Well, it's something to say about validating your hard work too. Not everybody needs a pat on the back, but to be recognized like that, okay, what I'm doing is the right thing to be doing.
Yeah.
So as long as I keep doing this, good things will happen,
Yeah.
So sometimes the pat on the back is a necessary, I don't want to say evil, because it's not evil at all to congratulate or get congratulated, but I think that's especially when you're new to the business,
Right.
Like having that validation is huge.
It is, because it's a thankless business oftentimes, and one pebble in the road, can sometimes feel like a mountain on your back, especially as a new agent when you don't have a lot of things going on. So if anything goes wrong, you feel at least I do, feel the entire weight of it, you know? So it was nice to get that validation. It was like almost a breath of fresh air and like a weight off my back of like, if these people are saying I'm legit, I must be legit.
Yeah.
It was almost the imposter syndrome, and then you get validation.
Yeah. Well, it's really encouraging, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm curious then, so part of what you mentioned was doing things a little differently. And so what do you see, if you're willing to share your trade secrets here? What do you think is your secret sauce, or part of what has made you so successful?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's anything like groundbreaking. We were talking before the podcast started about what I did in the past before real estate. I draw direct. I fought MMA. I moved to Milwaukee, started training MMA, and did that for about 8-9 years. So I draw a lot of parallels from that. I think the secret sauce to why I've had success and quick success is I have a growth mindset and an adaptive mindset in terms of I don't like being middle of the pack, and I understand too in real estate, after being around it my whole life, it's so quickly evolving that I'm always learning, always growing, always trying new things, but also staying consistent with that.
Yeah.
I think it's extremely easy to get down on your luck after you implement something and don't see immediate results off of it. I don't have that mindset. Just being in sports my entire life, I have the push through the wall mentality. So I consistently show up every day, run my process out, go through my checklist, and just hit it like that. So I'd say it's a consistency of my process more than anything, which is correlated to my success.
Yeah.
So
That's fantastic.
It is awesome.
So MMA, dude. So fighting for a living. Well, trying to fight for a living.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So what would you say your correlation to real estate would be? Like, what do you learn in MMA? Like, everybody sees, the bloody faces and all that stuff, but like, there's so much discipline and everything that goes into MMA. Like, what would you say was your biggest draw from that sport to real estate?
Yeah, 100%. It is the fact that nobody's holding you accountable to wake up every day and choose that career
That's
or
fantastic.
pursue it, right?
That's a great insight.
You're not clocking in. I don't
Yeah.
clock into the gym twice a day and say, hey, get my punch card, getting a,
Yeah.
$15 an hour here. It's, it is showing up for 2 or 3 months, not getting a cent, and then fighting for 10 minutes or something,
Right.
3 months later, and then maybe
Or
having a
even
bloody
hoping
face.
for an opportunity to
Right,
fight for 10 minutes,
right. So it's like, nobody's holding you accountable. Nobody's holding, saying you've got to wake up early, run, do all these little things that are tedious and monotonous and just, they're not fun, but if you do them and consistently do them, will correlate to success, right? And that's the biggest parallel, Joel, to real estate. I love that structure because it's somewhat chaotic and you can go a million different directions with it. you have to find structure within that chaos. It's such an unstructured thing that you can do. You can do jiu-jitsu and focus purely on jiu-jitsu. If you were talking MMA again, you can purely focus on wrestling or striking, or you could focus on all of them and try to be a complete MMA fighter, right? So that's how I look at real estate in terms of, I approach it that way. I had a structure when I was doing the MMA thing, and I learned from other guys who are at the top of that industry of how to structure my days. I've basically done the exact same thing with real estate, and it is correlated to much more success than I had in MMA.
That's fantastic.
So, yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Man, I feel like you've been in the business for less than 5 years, but I'm talking to somebody who's been in the business for like 25 years.
Yeah.
Like you're really coming across like very well-rounded, educated, and professional. And I love that.
Yeah.
That's truly phenomenal, man.
Well, I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
Some may have a different opinion,
Yeah.
but no, and that's too. And I know we'll touch on this, but that's being around the industry my entire life and understanding it from its core.
Sure.
With my father, Don Johnson, who's the lead of our team and the manager for Cutler Real Estate in Cincinnati. Being around the industry and growing up in it allows you that freedom and that understanding coming into it.
Yeah.
So I've had that advantage where I knew what it was before stepping into the fire, which is, very blessed and very lucky to have that. But that might be why I come off the page a little bit.
Yeah, and I know we've talked about this before. There's a big misconception that, when you jump into a family business, like not just you, but there's plenty of other people in this industry that have jumped into a family business from their parents being in real estate to them and then their kids. The biggest misconception when we talk about it is, you don't get everything handed to you from your father. Like you talk about that, because I think that's a testament to your dad too, not coddling you and saying, "Hey, man, you gotta kill what you eat here. Like let's pull your weight too."
Yeah.
If you want to touch base, because I think it's important to tell people that you've built your success as well.
Yeah, I mean that is an important thing for me, I guess, for the wider public to know. Only that was my biggest fear getting into real estate. Frankly, was the perception of, hey, everything is handed to me. I'm kind of just sitting back every day.
Yeah.
Closing.
You're in the shadow, like here.
Right. Or just being handed things, because I am very anti being handed things, and I'm very anti the easy way. I'd actually, circling back, I actually never even wanted to get into real estate. This was something that I did after I was fighting because I had to get a job, essentially. 2 nickels to my name, and I was like, all right, well, I guess this is here. And I was working as an assistant for my dad for my final 2 years fighting MMA. So, it was this whole thing where I was like, you know what, let's give it a shot. I have a bunch of people pushing me into it, saying I'm going to be good. My grandmother was one of them, who was a huge proponent for me to get into it. But yeah, in terms of the coddling part of it, I always tell people too, when young agents come to me asking me about the 30 under 30 thing, or how have you done so many deals in a short time at a young age. It's my first year in real estate. I think I have to go back and look at this, but I'm pretty sure I closed one deal. I'm pretty sure I only did one. It was one of my best friends, that whole thing.
Yeah.
And then I remember calling my mom at the end of that year, and I was really deflated. I was like, I don't understand how Dad makes money in this industry, and I don't know how people in general make money in real estate. This is a psychotic business. I just don't get it. I just really don't. I don't understand how this works. I'm making the cold calls. I'm calling the FSBOs. I'm calling the expired leads. I'm just getting crushed. I'm getting crushed. And I'm trying to learn, right? And I'm being consistent. But it was really, really, really tough for me that first year. And Don didn't come in and save me. Don didn't influx deals for me.
Yeah.
In that first year. He was basically giving me moral support, which is great. But basically telling me the same thing I'm echoing now, is the consistency part. Trying to grow, trying to learn, get more reps. And that really paid off for me my second year. My second year, I think I might have done 22 deals. And then my third year, I did 44 deals. So it really rapidly took off. Maybe quicker than most people would take. It's going from 1 to 22 to 44. It's pretty
doubling every year.
Pretty insane in my eyes. But it was really tough, man. And Don never gave me anything, which is great. I think being handed things and getting it the easy way is a quick way to have a big ego and flame out of the business quick.
Yep.
Because it's too easy.
Yeah.
You think you're better than you are. And if it's all coming to you without any resistance, I think that's a problem. I like the resistance. I like the trials and tribulations because I learn from it. I grow from it. And then I can start applying off of that and pivoting. Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
You never want to form that habit of complacency, right?
no.
And I think that's what your dad taught you that first year.
Yeah.
You know, if you get complacent, then you're never going to be successful.
And there's a great MMA quote pivoting off of that. Conor McGregor, who not the most quotable guy on on a business podcast probably, but I take a quote he said, if you sleep on a win, you'll wake up with a loss. I take that quote and almost as my mantra in real estate, because getting complacent will, you get excited about closing a few deals and you think you're the man.
Yeah.
Decide to take a couple weeks off. That couple weeks turns into a couple months of not closing another deal.
Yeah.
So, I almost don't get excited after closing deals anymore. I'm happy for my clients, but it's almost, moving on, next man up mentality.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's push forward here. So,
Fantastic.
Great.
I like
Yeah.
that quote.
Yeah.
That's perfect for business, man.
yeah,
That's
it
perfect,
really
you
is,
know?
especially in an entrepreneurial
Yeah.
business. You
Absolutely.
complacency is kiss of death when you're an entrepreneur, and your success relies solely on you.
Yeah.
I think being happy and being proud of your achievements is good. Complacency is the worst thing
Yeah.
you can be.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah, and going back to your dad, I think this idea that, getting into a family business like this gives you some kind of, like the handouts or whatever you want to look at it. But, what we've heard over and over and over again on this podcast is having a mentor is crucial to your business. And any successful agent probably has one that they can point to. And it's no different for you. The only thing that's different is it's your dad, and it wasn't, just some other agent.
Yeah, and I would echo that. I know many other agents have noted that, and it is true. Real estate is such a learn on the job thing. You can go to the classes and watch YouTube videos and all that, and that's great for sharpening your tools, but there's no way to really do it unless you do it. It's one of those things, and having that mentor there is huge because you get to see behind the scenes of how they move, body language, how they talk and structure their days, just really point A to Z. And that is, I'll echo that. The family dynamic has made it tougher on the mentor side.
I could see that.
from a just, and it's that whole classic family businesses are a tough thing, right?
Yeah.
And they are. There's no way around that.
Yeah.
I didn't take a lot from my college days in terms of, my education, in terms of, there was one entrepreneurship class that I took in college that was absolutely huge for me, and I still have a relationship with this teacher to this day, older guy. That was the biggest, most important college class I took because he had a very successful family business in Wisconsin and really kind of detailed everything that I'm going through now with Don, right? It's not all smooth. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. There are some abrasions there, but ultimately we both want to get to the same place, right? So that's where the family dynamic comes in a little bit different, as opposed to a normal mentor. But still, I would not be even close to where I am right now without Don in the picture, and I recognize that. So very appreciative, and Don is tried and true and proven. So even if I think I know what I'm talking about and doing the right thing, I know he's been there and done that 10 times over.
Yeah.
So,
well, and every day is different in real estate, so there could be something where it's like, hey, never seen this one before. What's up? And that's so easy. You turn off your dad hat and turn on your mentor hat, and like here we go. I don't know. It's just easier conversation. I feel like
it is. Yeah,
that's awesome.
It is.
And going back to like your pre-real estate days, maybe even as a kid, I don't know how aware or involved or like were you really kind of watching your dad and what he was doing back then?
So I was aware just from the standpoint that I was forced to be aware because it was that whole you have a kid
tagging along to showings.
Tagging along to showings. cut grass on my rental properties. I guess not much to take from that other than lawn care is important. Yeah, no, I was aware of it. I guess aware, but maybe not appreciating how much was going on, right? That is something I've definitely, now that things have gotten more serious and I have much more scale and much more on my plate now, really having a different appreciation for my father and the level that he was doing it at in his day and at his age. He was doing it, he started at 19.
Wow.
So, and he was the youngest manager of an office in Cincinnati ever. So
cool.
he was doing it, and I got in when I was 26. So it just very different. So I guess I really appreciate Don and what he did in his day, and now that I'm really in it and really doing it, that's the biggest thing I've taken, I guess.
There's something to say about a quality real estate agent always making it look easy. When houses would sell themselves, everybody's like, "Why do you need a real estate agent?" And then people get their license, like, "Oh, I'll just sell a bunch of houses," and then they get out of the industry because they realize how hard it is. So, I think great agents make it look easy, when in fact it's, a lot of moving parts that they're sheltering their clients from, and making that seamless for them, and then giving that perception that it's all.
It's all good.
It's all good when in fact you're sweating underneath the blanket over here. Gosh.
Yep.
Oh God.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just think that's great, man.
And that's and that's maybe why I didn't appreciate it, right? With Don, is because he didn't give the impression that things were insane behind the scenes and they had a million moving pieces and all these deals and as anybody knows who's in the industry, there's problems come out of nowhere that are out of your control almost every day if you're doing enough of it, right? So and we never got that appearance with Don, which is, to your point, Pat, it's a sign of a very seasoned good agent. But it correlates to your clients, obviously. I think that's a big thing where some agents say too much to their client about what's going on behind the scenes, whereas if you don't need to rattle the ship without reason, I think could be because you're the calming source in the situation. You're the problem solver. That's what this job is. Finding a way to get over a hurdle, and if you don't need to raise the red alarms and freak your client out and really, make it a more chaotic situation than it is, that is, I think, in my opinion, a huge chip for a good agent to have.
That's awesome.
And I'm very cognizant of that because I want the process for my clients and the people in my sphere that I'm working with to be as smooth as possible, as everybody does. But there's problems that come up, like I said, all the time. If you're freaking out, they're going to freak out. The deal will go that way, usually for the rest of the way, right?
For sure.
They lose confidence in you. So that's a really, really big thing that I focused on. My second, third year, I was really cognizant of that because I think my first couple of years, I would show visibly every problem that was going on, and I could read it on my clients that they would be like, "What? What's going on?
Yeah. Why are we both freaking out?
Yeah.
I should be the one freaking out."
It's like, I hired you. You're working for me. What's going on? Yeah. So,
That's interesting.
So what do you like to do outside of, we don't talk about this often with our guests, but like, what do you enjoy to do outside of real estate? And when you're outside of real estate, do you have the ability to kind of disconnect, or is it, man, I'm always thinking about it, especially around your family. Like, it's probably pretty easy to jump into real estate conversations with your family.
100%. And oftentimes it just, after, a few minutes of talking about whatever else, it almost just feels like we're cognizantly trying to not talk about real estate right away. It almost just evolves into that conversation right away. So it is hard, man. And I that is something, actually, to be blunt, I've struggled with this past year. I have great friends. I like travel, nothing crazy, but it is very hard, especially with me being a newer agent, for me to turn my head off of it. And I'm also very, very obsessive about the business. Servicing my clients and giving them the absolute best service is extremely important to me. So I feel an obligation to really be on all the time for them. So it's really hard for me to turn my head off of it and enjoy life sometimes. I'll be honest about that. So that's a thing I've struggled with this past year. And that's something in the new year I'm really trying to focus on, to be able to separate the business and personal life more. Because I think there is separation there that needs to happen for you to keep your sanity and be able to perform at a high level when you really are on.
Right.
But it's not something I'm the best at maybe right now, but I'm actively working on it. So, and I think it's important for people to be honest about that. Yeah. Because we are in an industry where you don't have defined hours, right? Mm-hmm. Really kind of always on the clock. It's that whole thing. You might step out for a call at 9:30 at a dinner with friends. That's a real thing. Yeah. And it's really sometimes hard. It's fine for me and I don't mind it. But if it's that every day, all day, 365, it can start to weigh on you. Sure. So,
especially when you decide to have a family, or the personal side does get, more personal, I guess. You know, so.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, a quick break here. We're going to thank our sponsor here for our space, which is Back to Back Ministries. They have this great podcast studio that they let us use. Back to Back Ministries is a global nonprofit orphan care organization with their sights set on providing care for today and hope for every tomorrow. From Cincinnati, Ohio to Hyderabad, India, staff teams around the world are stepping into hard stories and choosing to stay. To learn more about the work Back to Back does, how you can get involved, and why a global team won't stop until every child is known and loved, you can visit backtoback.org today. Yep, so we like to just thank Back to Back for this great space.
Yeah, this is very cool. Love the studio.
It's perfect, yeah.
I've said it multiple times, but I'm impressed.
Absolutely. Yeah, but with that done, I'm kind of curious what you've got in mind for the future. So we've talked a lot about kind of where you've been and where you've come from, where things are now. What's your vision for the rest of your career?
Yeah, so I mean, it's hard to say exactly where I want to be. I'm a guy that likes to set short-term goals, a bunch of short-term goals, with a hazy vision of where I want to land, in 10 years
that's all you can really plan.
Exactly. Yeah, especially in real estate. So it's I think obviously right now in Cincinnati, and then I think the real estate market in general, it's evolving so quickly. Rates are changing rapidly. Technology is changing rapidly. AI is becoming more paramount in the industry. So really trying to stay ahead of the curve on the evolving nature of the business, and trying to implement, new practices and technologies as much as we can. So I think that's something I'm very focused on for our team in the near future. But, in general, I think for my short-term goal, I want to build our team a little bit more now. I've gotten a good grasp on the industry and the business personally. So I want to start adding agents to that and really nurturing them for them to have similar success, and then to build together in Cincinnati. Longer-term vision off of that. I know we talked about me living in Milwaukee, Wisconsin a little bit. I would really love, I know a lot of people usually go south when they start another branch off team. I would like to go north and start another branch of our team in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. That is a longer-term, bigger goal of mine, but I have a very big sphere up there as well. So, scale, growth, and then adapting are kind of in the forefront for what the future looks like for us.
Heck yeah. That's exciting.
Well, there's another first right there, Daniel. I've never heard of somebody who wants to go to the cold.
Right. I know.
So that's exciting.
I'm not saying
what
Miami,
does Milwaukee have? Tell me about Milwaukee.
Yeah. Like, what are we missing?
The sphere. Yeah, but honestly, what do you like about that city?
Yeah, so it's not the sexy Miami, Naples, one of those. I know everybody else who has a successful team usually goes to those markets here. Yeah. Not me. It is cold. But it's a great city, man. I draw a lot of parallels with Milwaukee to Cincinnati. Great people, great community feel, really everywhere you go. Right on Lake Michigan. The city literally is right on top of Lake Michigan. And they, weirdly enough, people think I'm embellishing that, they have great beaches. I mean, they have great beaches that are well manicured, well taken care of. They have party beaches.
What are they open 1 month a year?
Well, you burn the.
And I'm not saying anything bad about Milwaukee.
No,
I've never been there, but
shots fired, Pat. It's all good.
It just seems like it's a cold area. No. I never would anticipate taking my bathing suit to
Milwaukee.
You're not alone. And I had that mindset too until I got into it. So, It's just really great. I mean, you do get to enjoy it maybe 2.5 months out of the year, right? But it's a really fun city, man. It's very eclectic, right above Chicago too, so you get a lot of influx from a really big market there.
Yeah.
I draw parallels to what Cincinnati, market-wise, what Cincinnati was maybe 20 years ago, 25 years ago, right? I didn't have any sense of that market then, obviously, being a 30-year-old, but it's in a baby boom stage right now. Their residential market statistically is going to blow up in the next 5 to 10 years. I mean, in a big way. They have a ton of development going on. Their city center is rapidly developing. And those are all big indicators usually, if you really dive in deeper, of a market that is about to pick up substantially. So they have a lot of commercial development with a lot of residential development and a lot of city core development. So it's a market where I have personal ties to it, but at the same time, there is definitely a business angle to that as well, and trying to get in maybe before the boom really happens.
Sure,
So
that's fantastic.
It's wise.
maybe odd to say that on a Cincinnati podcast.
No,
here, but,
that's pretty cool though. I mean, the sky's the limit in real estate.
Right.
So it's like whatever you want to do is what you want to do, and I would venture a guess and say the service standards aren't going to falter.
Right.
When you put the pieces together the right way. We had a previous guest on here who's had teams across the country, and it's like the service never faltered. So, I trust you, man. I think you can do it. Just never knew it was going to be in Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
That's a curveball when I tell people that.
That is pretty cool, though.
Sure. Yeah. So
well, now maybe we'll have to check it out.
you'll have to check it out.
You got to go there now.
Everyone's welcome. Well, I'd say go in the summer, but
Right.
you got a tight timeline.
Yeah.
We can make it.
I'll go ice fishing.
Yeah. Plenty of that. Plenty of that.
Oh, yeah.
Not for me. I'm a little scared going out
Yeah.
with a car on a lake personally, but yeah.
That's funny. Diving into, like, those are your personal goals for your growth with the team and everything like that. Like, what if I'm a new agent looking to get into the business? What kind of advice do you want to give to somebody who's new like you, man? Like, not everybody is successful in this industry. In fact, the majority of the people who do get into it bail because they just can't stay with that consistent mindset of staying with the process and going. Like, what kind of advice do you have for those types of agents who are really getting ready to dive in?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing too, and I have people often ask, who are kicking around the idea of getting into real estate, who are around my age, and I think the biggest thing is understanding the realities of what it actually is, as opposed to watching Selling Sunset on Netflix and thinking, man, I'm gonna be just closing deals left and right, going to parties,
$25 million house, no
Botox and bagels for an open house, and we're gonna be cooking. I mean, it's gonna be great, right? So I think understanding the realities of it, how much work is involved without seeing any reward off of it immediately, right? And just that is really hard for people who aren't used to that structure to get their heads around. And I think that's why a lot of agents bail so quickly out of the industry, is because you have to work very hard and oftentimes very long before you really start reaping the benefits of it. So, understanding your why of really why you want to get into real estate is extremely important. And it doesn't really matter, in my opinion, what that is. Do you want to make a lot of money because you have the power to do that and the freedom to make as much money as you can make and you want to make? Great. If that's your reason, lean into it and do it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you love dealing with people? Great. Start joining in clubs and getting out there, putting yourself out there. Don't be secret about having your real estate license. Lean into that. Whatever your reason is, lean into it. But really understand that on the back end of that, there are tough realities to this industry where it all relies on you. You're an entrepreneur, and it is not immediate reward for a lot of hard work.
Sure.
So being comfortable with being uncomfortable, essentially.
Yeah.
Right.
I've heard another agent say you're not working for today, you're working for 3 months from today.
100%.
They're like, we're not looking to make $1 today. We're looking to work today to make $1 in 3 months.
And it can be deflating too, right?
Yeah.
And and that's why too, you have agents who, I think this is important as well, if you're just starting in the business, it can be deflating not seeing that immediate reward, right?
Yeah.
And it can piss you off, and it can put you in a bad headspace. Well, think about it like this. You're in a bad headspace, you go up and you meet your next client or the client you've been dealing with or whatever, right? Your next meeting that you're in, and you're in a bad mood and you're in a bad headspace. Your body language is probably bad.
Right.
Your tone of your voice is probably bad, and the meeting's probably bad because of that.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just delaying the gratification and the reward instead of pivoting and adapting and really just understanding that, hey, I've had a bunch of crappy things happen in quick succession. I need to just stay the course. I need to stay even keeled.
Yeah.
That's
Be
great,
me,
man.
right? So
The 5-year agent with the 20-year mentality, man. That's
right.
awesome stuff. dude.
I'm bald, so I'm a bald 30-year-old. So I mean, this is, I guess that gives me another maybe 5-10 years
There you
of
go. There you
wisdom
go.
in its own right. So.
Credibility right there.
Yeah,
buddy.
there you go.
Oh man, that's awesome. I just, your wisdom's phenomenal, man. Not many people can pick up that much in such a short period of time in the industry. So, kudos to you, man. The 30 under 30 was well deserving after this conversation, man. This is
I appreciate
this is
it.
great stuff. Dude.
Yeah.
Anybody who's looking to work with a young bald agent, you got your guy right here, buddy.
There's Jason Oppenheim, and then there's me. So selling
There it
Sunset
is.
Cincinnati. I don't have a twin brother, but
Selling Cincy, baby.
yeah.
Dude, that is hilarious. There's got to be some sort of, long lost brother or something. Those guys, you guys are like spitting image, man.
Well, I might have a few inches on him height wise, but other than that, maybe a little less jacked. I don't know.
Those girls are just super tall.
They might be
They're normal. Those girls are
Right.
just super tall.
right. We'll go with that. We'll go with that.
So, well, man, thanks for jumping on this podcast with us, dude. We are so I love the diversity that we were trying to bring on here from 30-year long agents to newer agents like yourself who are just crushing it. The ability to learn from everybody for me has been profound, but then also help share your story too, man. I think is so incredible too, because you got a lot to share, man, and it's and you've done it in such a little bit of time. Not many people could say they've done what they've done in 4 and 5 years. So, congratulations on all your success. Thanks for being a part of our podcast, and can't wait to see what the future holds, my friend.
Thank you, Pat. Daniel,
Absolutely.
appreciate you as well, man.
Absolutely.
Guys, it was fun pod, and it's good to talk about these things too. I think some of the realities of real estate don't get talked about enough.
For sure.
The rosy picture gets talked about more often than not. So I think it's good to talk about. But it's a great industry too, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot to be had with it. So I can talk real estate all day.
There you
I can
go,
talk
buddy.
real estate
Me
all
too.
day. Thanks,
Well,
guys.
thanks, brother.
Appreciate
Thank
you
you.
guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Cincinnati Real Producers podcast powered by Nextdoor Photos. We do this every week, so be sure to subscribe so you can follow along. If you liked our conversation, leave us a review. We'd love to hear your thoughts.